ball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Breaking news. Oh, shit.
Oh, what?
Oh, shit.
It's too early for this.
I mean, a lot of things are happening right now. This just happened. I'll even show you. It says now. Timestamp. It says now.
Right now.
Listen. Hey, we just started the fucking podcast. We already got breaking news. Jeff Passan just tweeted. Let's pull up the tweet here. Jeffrey Passan, right-hander Lance Lynn and the St. Louis Cardinals are in agreement on a 1-year contract with a club option that guarantees around $10 million. Sources familiar with the deal tell ESPN. Lynn, 36, was drafted by the Cardinals and returns pending physical as they rebuild rotation. Wow. Starting off the podcast with some breaking news. Lance Lynn back to the St. Louis Cardinals. They didn't get
right, baby.
Aaron Nola. I mean, I don't know if you, because listen.
Are you calling that a step down?
Open up the phone.
No. I think it's right on par. Listen, that's two dudes that are going to take the ball. Yes or no?
Mass equals cash. That's what's happening here. Mass equals cash.
It's two dudes that, hey, every fifth day, you know they're going to take the ball. Same tier to me. Aaron Nola and Lance Lynn.
You need workhorses. Like you said, you need guys that are going to take the ball, all right? Phillies
Lance
identified one guy. Cardinals identified another.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I was going to say...
They're both horses. One of them closer to the glue factory, for sure. But
no doubt. The MLB trade rumors every year, I don't know. I'm sure that there are a lot of people listening that can relate to this. But every year, MLB trade rumors puts out their predictions. And if they have some big names going to the Red Sox, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, this is a great list. But then there's other years, like, I don't know, the last 5 years where they have no one going to the Red Sox. I'm like, this fucking list sucks. Like, these guys are full of shit. This year, I believe all 3 contributors to the predictions list had Aaron Nola going to the Cardinals. Everyone. All 3. Aaron Nola goes back to the Philadelphia Phillies on a 7-year deal worth how much, Jayhay? Fucking 2. Did he get what?
Nola?
172.
172.
172?
For Nola? Yeah.
172. 172. And I saw a lot of people praising Dave Dombrowski, and rightfully so. I mean, I know Dave Dombrowski, there's some swings and misses sometimes, which is fine because, you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But Dave Dombrowski, where he deserves some credit here, is now, since today, for those of you who celebrate, for those of you who observe, is Yamamoto posting day.
Yes.
Just got posted. Fucking breaking news. Just got posted like 2 minutes ago. Yoshinobu Yamamoto got posted. Tomorrow the bidding can begin. I believe 8 a.m. Eastern Standard. Teams can start placing their bids for Yamamoto tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning.
I wish we had a shot of the screen, and I know this doesn't exist, but let's say you're his home team and you've got this screen up, and maybe it's the email page, and the minute that the offers start rolling in, you can just start to watch it line up. I wonder how long it takes. It's
not going to be that many fucking like he's going to cost over $200 million.
Yeah, in the realm of the teams that are going to be competitive in this race to him in this posting period. I mean, let's say there's 10 teams. Let's say there's 15 teams that are willing to just throw something up against the wall and see if it sticks. I just wonder if it's a 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, by what? By 5:03, do they have all of the offers they're going to get?
No, because I bet what's going to happen, and we were talking about this before we started recording, is I think teams are going to wait around to see, like, you know, there's going to be some leaks somewhere. Like, what are the other teams bidding? Like, there's going to be those thirsty-ass teams that come in early, and then you're going to have the other teams that are like, all right, I want to make sure that my bid trumps their bid.
Do we know know that there has to be a certain time by the time these bids are in? What's the deadline for these bids to prevent that right there? Because if I know that Yeah, because if I know that all four of you guys are in on Yamamoto, and I might be, but I want to see which one to use the poorest, and that I might be able to outbid. Well, then I want
to.
So, I mean, we can if we want. I don't think it's that complicated, though. I think it's not like it used to be, where like you're submitting a posting. Here is my offer to the guy. He is basically a free agent. Yes. Is the way that it's treated now that he's been posted. All right, so it's and because we were also talking about this ahead of time, but the way the posting fee works is you're not submitting it directly to the team anymore, and then you get a window to negotiate. It is a percentage of the contract. So, for example, MLB Trade Rumors has him projected for a $225 million deal. If that were to come to pass, 20%. The posting fee that the Buffaloes would get would be just over $35 million based on the tiered percentages of how that it works. And we don't need to get into that. But like, he is basically a free agent for how that it works. So I don't think like that gamesmanship where it's like, we need to wait to see what that person submitted because it's binding or because they can't come back. It's just like any other contract negotiation where you can keep coming back and back and back or whatever.
Yeah, but I think
there's a window of time that they can negotiate. Like he's posted for either 30 or 45 days or something.
45-day window.
Yeah, yep. Once that expires, then obviously he's going to take someone's $200+ million offer, but it's just a sit in the world of hypothetical, the hypothetical hot tub. If we're in there, then there is a scenario where he could not like any of the offers, and then the window expires and he stays in Japan.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, to your point about the leaks, does that come out? It's like, oh well, shit, I didn't know that Jayhay was even in on this dude, and now here's Jayhay. Jayhay throwing around some serious cash. So if Jayhay's in on him, and it feels like Jake's already out on him, well, now I know that I can start to fit in. So it's almost like if you're going to buy your time, you know that you do have that window, that 45-day window, but you better come correct and it better be early because you do not want to be left behind in those conversations. You want to capture their attention, him and his camp, and you want to be able to be at the front of bringing him in. Well, I mean, because that's something else you think about. Is he going to be available? Is he going to be willing, if your offer is serious enough, to come and check things out? Check out the clubhouse. Check out our lab. This is where you're going to be getting the work in. But are those possibilities? So that's why you need to be at the forefront of this if you are serious about this dude.
And to the point about being at the forefront, this is also presumably a conversation that every front office has run through extensively with team ownership, right? So like it's a situation where you're probably like, if you're in, you're just in, right? Because ownership is signed off on the possibility of a $200 million, $250 million total outlay for a pitcher coming over from Japan, which is not just something you're going to do off the cuff, right? As a front office.
You're game planning your minor league system.
January 4th, to Jared's point, January 4th is that cutoff date. That's the end of the 45-day window for context.
So do you think this guy, you think he's going to get more than any other pitcher?
Yes.
This offseason, without question.
As long as you're not counting Shohei as a pitcher, yes.
Yeah.
So you like
I
him
think
better
he'll
than
beat
Snell?
Yeah. I think he's going to beat Snell and Nola by
a lot.
A lot, like $50, $75 million. Yeah. I mean, so Nola got 172.
Yeah. So if it's like 50 north of that, then
we're talking 225, 222 or whatever. Like, I think that's what MLB trade for example, that's what MLB Trade Rumors is projecting.
I mean, is Snell hitting the $200 million mark?
No,
I don't think
it's just about another year, really, I think is what you would think, right? So with that being said, Yamamoto's already sort of set the tone with it's going to be 200 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go back to the Nola thing though?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of money, right? $172 million for a guy who just threw up like a 4+ ERA. We all know he was awesome when he got the ball in the playoffs. Like, to me, this feels, I'm split and I'm not, because I think there are a lot of reasons to be concerned about what the back half of this contract ends up looking like and how good Nola is in year 4, 5, 6, 7. But it's simultaneously, I think it was an absolute no-brainer for the Phillies because they're in that very special area in terms of projected wins and expectations where it's like, if you lose or gain 3 to 5 wins off of what you have, it's the whole deal. It's the whole difference in terms of making the playoffs, competing at a high level. Like, he's obviously a huge element of why they would be feared in a postseason series and why they did well in a postseason series this year. So I think like they had to pay for the next 3 years, which is what they did. And I think like there's a lot about Nola's 2023 season that's actually pretty alarming. Strikeout rate down, walk rate up, home run rate up.
Contact.
And 2 of the last 3 seasons have now been kind of like, how good was he this season? But they could not afford to lose him. And if anything, they need to be adding to this team as opposed to subtracting. So for me, it was like, it's a no-brainer with concerns built in.
And it's also kind of like, dude, if you're worried about Nola's like back end of this contract, you can be, but you could also say that about like 5 or 6 of the Phillies' best players.
No question.
So if you're the Phillies, it's kind of like, we're kind of already fucked if you're using that logic.
Yeah,
so why
totally.
not spend it on this guy who we know is going to be good for the next 2 or 3 years? Because that's our window anyway.
Well, there's if you remove Aaron Nola from that rotation, you're looking at, okay, Wheeler, and then, man, would love to see Taijuan Walker be able to bounce back.
Respect
and
on Rangers Suarez, you piece of shit.
Well, I mean, but from when you're talking about like locking it down, locking the top of that rotation down, and you don't sign Nola, and you don't think you're going to be a player for any other for a Yamamoto type.
Well, it's also innings, right? Like, you need a dude that's going to be able to take the ball. Like, even if, to Jayhay's point, we get a guy that his ERA's in the 4s and it starts creeping up a little bit more. It's like, all right, well, he's going out there and giving you innings. Like, there's value there. But a 7-year deal, I understand that they balked at it. Like, how much do you think his postseason run increased his odds of the Phillies going to that 7th year? Because I think that was probably where they balked at it before. Is like, we'll go 5 or 6 for you. And then he goes out and has that postseason. It's like, all right, fine. Like, we can't afford to lose this fucking guy. Like, we're not just going to, like, we've gotten to the World Series. We should have gone back-to-back years. We did not. We can't get to the World Series in 2022 and then just keep sliding backwards. Like, that's not what we went out and spent all this money on Bryce Harper for, and Zach Wheeler and Nick Castellanos, guys like that. JT Realmuto. They can't spend all that money at the beginning of this window and then slide backwards without continuing to invest in their product.
And you also have to acknowledge why your product is what it is at this point in time. Aaron Nola, a big part of that. A big part of that. And if you're factoring all of the emotion that you just kind of hit on when it comes to, oh, we should have been here, we weren't, what's the gap that we have to close look like? Well, you almost look no further than your reality in the moment, which is, why are we here and why are we progressing? It's because of what this dude is doing. So we have to know that he's got to be a part of what we're trying to do, because, again, what Joey said, we've got X amount of guys, 5-6 dudes that we know are locked up for the long haul. The window for all of them together is sooner rather than later. So let's bring another guy in / keep a guy here that can serve that role in the most important area outside of what we've got in the line, which is on the mound.
Yeah. Like, a bounce back year would go a long way for Aaron Nola next year, when you consider
huge.
Like, he's statistically taken a big step back, and then we just tacked on 7 years. Like, 7 years is a long fucking time.
For the Phillies, that's why, like, you get a Wheeler, and that's why I said Taijuan Walker bounces back. Taijuan Walker gives you an ERA under 4, and he gives you another 180-plus innings or whatever he had, because he took the ball 30-plus times. It's just about a little bit better performance.
I also, like, at least the reporting that I saw was that it came down to the Phillies and the Braves. And so I think, to me, it was as much about the fact that your direct division rival and the team that you have met in the postseason each of the last 2 years was the other team that, like, that's not just a loss off your roster. That is directly impacting a team that you have to go head to head against for your own division and is a blocker to your pathway to the playoffs potentially. So, like, if we're talking about why did the Phillies go to a 7th year, that to me is just as much of an explanation as his success in the postseason. Also, like, they had to have known mentally that a payday for Aaron Nola was coming. So they had all season, if not each of the last couple of seasons, to prepare for the reality that they were going to have to pay $150 million plus to keep Aaron Nola. And if they ever thought it was going to be much different than that, then they were either kidding themselves or like they didn't expect him to be good, which wouldn't have made sense for how they were aligning their roster anyway. So this is, to me, it's let's try and win a World Series over the next 3 seasons, and we'll deal with that other stuff later. To that point, though, like, yes, the Phillies have a lot of big deals, but like the Zach Wheeler, maybe not to their benefit, but the Zach Wheeler contract is not going to last that much longer. The Nick Castellanos contract doesn't have that many more years on it. Like,
well, they're trying to get out from under that now.
Well, yeah, that doesn't look great at the moment, but like there is some level of flexibility here. And the other thing that they've done, which we've talked about before, Bryce Harper was the best example of this, but Turner and Nola to a degree as well. These are not soul-crushing average annual values. They are not like 35, 36, $40 million a year per year. Like Bryce Harper, I think, makes $27 million a year.
Right.
Aaron Nola's new deal is just over $25 million a year. So it's like you can, if you're a high payroll team, you can build a sustainable like roster with multiple of those players. And like they will cycle through. The Castellanos and the Wheelers will be replaced maybe by Wheeler himself. Who knows? But like,
think about it. To have 4 guys,
they're not binding themselves as much as you might think.
No, and to have 4 guys, 4 guys, 25 to 27, $28 million a year. I mean, that's just north of $100 million a season for 4 stalwarts, like 4 like dudes. You know what I mean? And for you to only be coming up the pocket $400, or excuse me, like for $100 million for 4 of them, roughly a little over. Like that's a great place to be.
They have 6 dudes making $20 million or more next season, and 7 if you make it 18, or because Taijuan Walker makes $18 million. So they have 7 guys making $18 million or more next season, but no one making more than $27 million. So, there you go.
Well, it was a necessary move for the Phillies. And to what I was going to say earlier, now that Dave Dombrowski has pounced early on, I mean, we're not even at Thanksgiving yet, then if Yamamoto signed or Snell signed, you could be looking at a situation where Aaron Nola and his agent go back to Dave Dombrowski and say, hey, guess what? Price just went up. Like if he's worth X, I'm worth Y.
That's what the Braves played him like a fiddle.
Yeah.
Braves played him like a fiddle. So
yeah,
that's the guy we want. We really want. We didn't even want this guy.
Yeah, Braves just made
so then they intentionally drove up the price tag on Blake Snell and Yamamoto. Like, nah, those are the 2 guys we want, and we want to pay for them.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Who knows what they're thinking over there in the A-Town, but it's something smart.
The A-Town. Yeah. So the Philadelphia Phillies end up with Aaron Nola coming on back, which, by the way, before we move on, were any of you surprised at how fast that came together? Or is it just a matter of he's coming back to a place that he knows, a place that he wants to be, and that's, I mean, they hit his number, so like it shouldn't come as a surprise at all.
Yeah, well, from looking from my perspective, it looks like the people playing at Philly love playing there. It looks like the most fun place to play, and everyone's all friends and shit, so that doesn't surprise me. If he's going to take less money to stay in Philly, like, yeah.
Well, and Joe, I mean, man, I hate to think about it this way, Joseph, but is this a potential indictment on what's going on in that Braves clubhouse behind the scenes?
Wow.
So like Nola's like, look, man, I'm like a better offer. You got, perennial contenders. That's fine. I think I'm better off here in Philly. Like less money, but just a better environment. Is that? I don't know, Joe. You tell us.
I don't know. I don't know either. We lost Wash. I don't know. I think also if you look at it this way, you look at the Braves, people signing with the Braves. What do? 1% donation to the Braves Foundation. I don't know if Nola is that type of guy to really want to like do good for the world and actually help charity and stuff. So I think maybe that have a bigger reason to do. It's kind of an indictment on his character as a person. He's like, I want to play in the shit city, which is just fucking uncivilized Philadelphia compared to the Battery in Atlanta.
Yeah. Do you care to speak on that that peculiar, seemingly mandatory 1% donation of the contract? I mean, I feel like those guys are signing that contract like this. Yes, I have no problem giving the foundation 1% of this contract. Everything is fine here.
I think they do the same thing for Scientology.
I can't speak on that legally, and now I own Brave stock. I bought a lot this weekend, so I can't really speak on that kind of stuff. I am a shareholder. I don't know if you saw Warren Buffett also bought this weekend.
He did. Warren Buffett in on the Bravos.
So kind of great minds think alike type shit, but yeah, I can't really
but yeah.
All right. All right. Nothing to see there at the clubhouse.
Great minds think alike when they choose a blue moon. And because baseball may be finished, but there's a new season to be happy about. And it's the holidays. And the beer that was perfect for baseball is also the perfect match for a brighter holiday. From its bold, refreshing flavor to its beautiful, bright color, Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is made for brighter holidays. Dallas, how many Blue Moons are you going to be? Do you host for Thanksgiving or do you go somewhere?
We typically host. This year we are up north here in Stockton. So we're going to have Thanksgiving at our house here in Stockton, but friends and family will come over.
Are there like metal bars on the windows and stuff?
buddy, no. Not when there's a gate keeping vagrants like you out of here, Jared.
Like, do you have to, like, when you're having like a nice Thanksgiving dinner in Stockton, do you have to like shut the lights off so that people don't know that you're home?
No, we feed the guards out front.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
but all that to basically ask, will there be blue moons poured on Thanksgiving?
Buddy, I've been in Stockton for 72 hours, and there has been well over, not solely by me, but well over 150 moons polished here. We just had a 40th birthday where mooning was literally and figuratively occurring.
Wow.
How about, there's a lot of people in Stockton who could, they're probably giving a lot of free turkeys out to the less fortunate. Maybe you go out and just give out blue moons to those guys.
I don't know if that's, quite the message we're trying to deliver during the holidays.
I think it is. Because there's no holiday like a blue moon holiday is what Joe is trying to say, because Blue Moon Brewing Company beers are made brighter as perfect complement to the holiday season. From Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale's refreshing flavor to Light Sky's real tangerine peel taste to Moon Haze's juicy burst of flavor, the whole crowd will be reaching for the bright stuff this holiday with its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander. Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. The season should be merry and bright, so Blue Moon is perfect match for the holidays. Crack of the beer, the pour, the first sip of that bold flavor. Blue Moon always feels like a special occasion. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all through the holidays. Brighten up the holidays with the beer that is made brighter. Get Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale, Light Sky, and Moon Haze delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale. Okay. We talked about Yamamoto posting day a little bit. Is there anything else we wanted to kind of add to that conversation? I mean, it's exciting.
Do we have landing spots? Is it too early to
even consider coming to the fucking Red Sox, Dal? What kind of stupid ass question is that?
I know.
Why would you even ask that?
I know that they showed interest. They were one of the first teams to really say, hey, look, we will have a strong level of interest in Yamamoto should he decide to play baseball over
Did you see Jake's video this morning?
I did, and it was quality. Jake, a natural, one of a kind.
Can I help you?
Hey, can I get a medium hot coffee with cream, please?
Anything else?
Yeah, can I get Yamamoto for 10 years, $250?
Have what?
Just a bottle of water, please.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
People want Yamamoto on the streets, Dallas. He's coming
I love
to
the
Boston.
lady in the background.
What?
Lady in the background.
She laughed at the price tag. She was like, he's going to get
cackling.
more
That guy's fucking crazy. 2 for $250 ain't happening.
Hey, Hamden, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. 2 for $250.
Yeah.
This guy a bottle of water. Get him the fuck out of here.
Well, John Heyman has reported that Yamamoto prefers the West Coast, and then he reported that he doesn't prefer the West Coast. So who knows? Who knows? He might not even prefer Major League Baseball. Does anyone ever know
maybe
that he didn't want to come here at all?
Maybe he went to the West Coast and decided, you know what, I made a mistake.
Yeah, maybe someone was like, hey, check out Stockton. You'll love it. And he was like, you know what? More of an East Coast guy. I think that there are going to be more teams than most people expect to be in on Yamamoto, because at the end of the day, it's just money. It's just money. You're not giving up picks. You're not giving up assets. You are just spending billionaires' money. And by the way, shout out to Joe. Head on over to the Baseball Doesn't Exist YouTube channel, where he has a very interesting, like usually like I'll put on like YouTube videos for like background noise, or like maybe like I'm kind of paying attention. And like I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, like I'm on the laptop doing shit. Like this video about the economic impact of Shohei Ohtani to a major league franchise. I was locked in, 100% focused, couldn't look away because this information was fascinating. And I'll let you, to an extent, I don't want to like give away the whole video and all the information in there, but when you talk about the impact that Shohei Ohtani can have on a team from a business sense, Joe, I think I'm sure if you have that information, Major League Baseball teams have that information, and I'm sure that there are a lot of financial analysts that are probably looking at the financial impact of Shohei Ohtani on a team and being like, could Yamamoto have the same impact? Or not same, but similar to, even if he's 60% of the impact that Shohei has. So what were some of those numbers, Joe?
Well, the number just from The Athletic said that Shohei Ohtani, without even playing, the Angels made $70 million just from signage. I don't even think that included ticket sales, but signage, corporate sponsorships, and that shit. And I think basically the most money they make on Shohei, it's like people don't understand. Every time Shohei plays, they show that game in Japan, and literally more people watch the Angels in Japan than in America.
Isn't it more than double?
I don't know. Well, I don't know the actual number. That's kind of a guess. I know that 3 times more people watched the home run derby he was in Japan. Their opening day against Oakland was like 6 million live viewers in Japan when Shohei started, which was more than all the other opening day ratings on national TV in America. So you're guessing
this year was huge too, just because of Fuji. Not just because of Fuji, but because of Fuji and Shohei.
True. But also the WBC and all the hype going into that. But I'm guessing that people are watching the Angels in Japan a lot more, maybe double. Because if you watch the fucking games, it's all Japanese advertising. And apparently that, from this article I read, that money is fucking insane. I think the number was like $60,000 per half inning, which was with the guy who created these advertisements in the 90s. And that's what it was in the 90s.
Because they know they're getting in front of an audience significantly larger than you're pandering to or marketing to here at home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you had double the viewership, you could charge double for these ads behind home plate, and that alone is like close to $1 million at least a year that Shohei's getting just from being there. If he's healthy all year, and that has nothing to do with like his value on the field, which we know.
But you said
more
something
than anyone's.
You said something that. The difference is, and I mean, Jared, you kind of touched on it, the home run derby, but Yamamoto will not be at the home run derby. And so that is just those are the little things.
Started the All-Star game.
What's that?
If he started the All-Star game.
Yeah, but Shohei's done that too. Remember when he did them both? So that's the difference is the Yamamoto impact.
No one's comparing him. No one's comparing him to what Shohei's doing. I'm just saying that, like, if teams are seeing that, first of all, the other point, Joe, from that video that was crazy was that opposing teams were selling Japanese ads inside the ballpark when Shohei came to town. So it's like other teams are making money off Shohei just being in town for the weekend.
That just tells you how much they're making off that, because like they're going through the trouble to get these sponsorships for 3 games. You know, like you're not going to do that if it's like a 10% increase in revenue. It's a lot.
And the point that I'm making is over a series, you would be fortunate to have Yamamoto performing for you one time over a series, you're getting Shohei all 3 days. That is the difference. And that's when, for me, when you said you're trying to compare the two, there's really no comparison to be made.
Well,
is because Yamamoto's going to pitch over homestand. You're going to see him twice.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
over
Joe,
homestand, you see Shohei 10 times.
The ads behind home plate, those were sold when he was pitching.
No, I mean, even when he's hitting. Even when games he's just hitting in. Angels games, yeah. And even away games.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're mostly ad. It's not just when he's pitching. It's every game. There's
like
behind
just think
home
about
plate, at least there's more Japanese ads in Angels Stadium than American ads.
Think about that scene from Jerry Maguire where he's telling Cuba Gooding Jr., I will not rest until there is a Rod Tidwell commercial playing during a Rod Tidwell Super Bowl performance in which he has just caught a touchdown and Rod Tidwell is selling you, like, it's just lining it all up like that, right? So Shohei at the dish with the advertisement behind him, you can bank on that. Shohei on the mound the next half inning with an advertisement behind home plate, you can bank on that. You will be lining up to be that presence when Yamamoto's on the mound 2 games this series, and there's still going to be some trickle effects where, yeah, you want him up there because they're going to be talking about him, and absolutely. But I was just saying the economic impact it has a chance to be there, but I don't think we can ever lump or consciously put another player in the conversation with Shohei Ohtani when it comes to economic impact.
No.
If they paid, I think if you really wanted to break down what Shohei Ohtani was worth the past 3 years, it's well over $100 million a year. Like that what he was worth for a team, just because
Joe, jerseys are 40, 50 mil.
Yeah.
Just jerseys.
I think I got a number, like they made $7 million off his jerseys. I don't even think that was last year. It was a couple years ago. $7 million off jerseys. He attracted 600,000 extra fans. Like that's like 20 plus million for the Angels. And like I said, 70 million is the number, according to The Athletic, he makes without even playing. And then you add what he adds to the team in terms of what people get paid for being good at baseball without even being marketable. You know, he had 8.8 wins above replacement the last 3 years on average. And I think the teams last offseason paid $8.5 million for one WAR. So just that, that's $75 million a year on the field, plus another $70 million he made just from revenue from being fucking famous. That's $140 million.
Yeah, what was it like? He did a fucking like cream or something like that, and he endorsed some fucking lotion, and then sales went up like 13,000%.
Dude, yeah, he's the brand ambassador for like a makeup company.
There in fucking Japan, just rubbing themselves in Shohei cream to be like, oh man, this is the best shit ever. But like
their sales went up 13 times, dude, for men. 13 times higher just because they got Shohei to do commercials for him. It's not 13 times. This guy, Shohei made $40 million off endorsements last season. Just endorsements. You know who was second?
Aaron Judge,
4.5 million.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Peanuts.
His endorsements were the third highest salary in baseball.
So if it's $4 million and then Shohei made how much? 40?
40.
So is the math correct? Is that 10 times more?
Yeah,
wow,
and
I knew the MVP, the 2022 MVP was wrong.
and to Joe's point, if you took Shohei Ohtani's off the field money, it's what? Scherzer, Verlander, and
Shohei.
He's third?
He's third.
All right, yeah. So yeah, it would be Scherzer, Verlander, and then Shohei in terms of what he made, but that's just what he made off the field.
Off the field.
Mm-hmm.
Well, remember like when Darvish came over and he had the YouTube channel. I think he's still got the YouTube channel. But I mean, like a ton of money outside of performing on the field.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, but I just feel blessed that the Red Sox are gonna have both of them on the fucking same team. With Yoshida. Like, I just want Team Japan to play for the Red Sox. Like, I don't give a fuck. I want
could
the
that be a
entire
hurdle?
Team Japan.
That could be a hurdle. That could be a hurdle,
what?
Jared. Like, I mean, there's
if we had $1 billion payroll, then it wouldn't matter because we'd make it all back in advertisements because of all the viewership that we would get in Japan. If we just had Team Japan is also the Boston Red Sox and all the advertising dollars, we would have to put like a third and fourth deck onto Fenway Park for all the tickets that we would have to sell to these fucking games. That's the move. Jake.
What you know?
Dallas, I need to talk to Jake for a second. That's the move. Like we got to go to Japan and tell them like, hey, like if you guys want to play in the United States, boy, do we have the place for you. Like we have Fenway Park. It's historical. We already have Masataka Yoshida. We're about to sign Shohei Ohtani, and then we're about to get Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
If we get Yamamoto plus Ohtani with Yoshida, I'm learning Japanese 100%.
100%, dude. Put it this way, Dallas. If the Red Sox get Ohtani and Yamamoto, I'm learning Japanese and I'm quitting this podcast. I'm starting a Japanese baseball podcast, and I'm going to be so fucking rich because of all the eyeballs in Japan that will now be focused on the Red Sox product. I will never speak English for the rest of my life. I'm all in on the Japanese language.
Now you're willing to go to the Summer Koshin.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was willing to go before, but I was just more like, what are the food options? Like, do they have steak? Do they have chicken fingers? Like, yes.
Well, things haven't changed now that Ohtani's a fucking Red Sox.
I have a different idea.
What is
How about to keep all of us together and doing a podcast and employed, we just dub this current one.
Just dub it over? Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, okay. Sure.
Or subtitle it.
Makes more sense. But we're just, I mean, yeah.
Because honestly, by the time you learn Japanese,
you're going to be dead.
I mean, the podcast is going to be paused for years.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's true.
You can't read.
It is 100% true.
Well, hold on.
You can't read English letters. Japanese is like
but it might
like
be easy. Maybe it's just because my brain is programmed to Japanese to be easier to me than English. You don't know that.
I think Japanese is exceptionally. I think Japanese is exceptionally difficult.
Yeah. Konnichiwa.
Don't know that. Don't know that for a
fact.
Easy.
Pretty easy to me.
I don't know it for a fact.
Ohio.
I think it is true though.
There's a TikTok that I saw the other day of white dude married a Korean woman, and in Korean culture, like it's frowned upon that, you know, like that Koreans marry Koreans basically. And so then this dude goes up there and he said, surprise, just so that you accept me into the family, I learned Korean. And then he did his like speech to like her family and her and the friends and everyone in the room in full fluent Korean.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm going to be able to do the same.
No,
but
I don't have that expectation.
So are you envisioning yourself walking up to like Ohtani and Yamamoto's families and like professing your love in very good fluent Japanese, or what are we doing?
I'm focused on making Japanese baseball. Because
you're running a distant second.
I'm going to go all in on Japanese baseball content as Team Japan becomes the Boston Red Sox. We're just kind of like in a transitional phase right now where we only have Masataka Yoshida, but it's going to get to a point where we have the entire Team Japan.
What if the key to Ohtani's heart came down to who learned Japanese fluently faster, you or Ben Verlander?
I feel like I listen, my brain works in mysterious ways.
Well, it's a beautiful brain. Yeah.
It is a beautiful brain. I feel like I would win that race just because I'm just able to retain things. When I want to retain information, I can retain information. So, I mean, if that's what it came down to,
he's kind of like a Ken doll.
I don't know, dude.
What? You don't think I could?
No, I'm just saying, I think Ben Verlander also has a beautiful mind himself.
No,
I don't think he's learning Japanese though.
Just beach.
Yeah, no, I don't think that he has the heart, will, and desire to learn to master the entire Japanese language like I would.
Well, I mean, Jared, he went to Japan. You didn't. You would not. You couldn't.
He didn't. I watched the doc. He didn't speak a fucking word of Japanese. Not one.
Effort was there, man. Though I mean, like, you know, boots on the ground.
He walked around with an interpreter. Lazy, disrespectful. Lazy and disrespectful. I would go over there. I would learn Japanese. And I would go there and be like, hey, listen, I have a baseball
Give
podcast.
us a little taste. Give us a little taste of what you've been working on.
I'm working on it. It's entirely in Japanese.
You're still talking in English.
Yeah, this is still English.
Yeah, this is dubbed over.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know if you didn't okay.
Yeah, no. This is dubbed. So I'm excited. This is gonna be a great journey. And if you're a billionaire owner and you're looking at this from business sense, why wouldn't you do it? They're the best baseball team in the world.
So here's the question.
There's way more people.
Here's the serious question. If it's just spending money, like we've talked about, and a lot of that is what scares, or I don't want to say scares ownership away or front offices away, but the idea that there are potential future draft picks attached to negotiations.
Fuck the draft, dude.
Now, is there any thought that Steve Cohen starts to loom again? Because he's like, you know what? I don't have to worry about giving anything up. I can keep everything as is right now. And for me, like, I'm the dude that they had to invent different levels of the tax game too. So I have no problem signing this. What is it? 225? That's who's interested. 275. 250. Done. Like, I don't want to have the conversation. So whatever, like, it's almost like what Reggie Jackson said to Bud Selig when he wanted to buy the team, right? When he wanted ownership, he said, whatever your offer is, the highest one you get, just tack on 25 mil to that, and that will be my offer, okay? So I am telling you that I will beat everybody. What is preventing Steve Cohen from flexing again? Is one offseason long enough for him to remind himself of why he bought this team? Are Mets fans going to be clamoring for, lighting a fire under the ass of, to try and get them back on track? Because you just parted ways with 2 first ballot future Hall of Famers to get yourself right and to get yourself back in a position to do Steve Cohen things. Is this not an opportunity for Steve Cohen to do Steve Cohen things?
It is. And the Mets are always going to be looming because of that reason. But I think Steve Cohen also looked at that approach. I'm sure he has looked at that approach and said, oh, we can't just throw money at every problem that we have. That doesn't always work. Like, look at the team that we put together last year and look at where it ended up.
Well, how old is Yamamoto?
25.
And how old is Justin Verlander? And how old is Max Scherzer? So this is a different game.
I know.
Now.
I know.
It's a different game.
I understand. But, every team's got money now.
It just, for me, if you were willing to spend what you did on JV and Max, you have to. You absolutely have to be the tip of this spear. You have to. There's no reason not to. I can't hear a reason why not. What's that?
You have him going to the Mets.
I just, it's not that look, the comfortability and blah, 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 blah. That's all stuff. I think I'm speaking more from what we saw transpire with the Mets and in the specific area of trying to acquire arm talent at a premium price, though aging. The concept or the theory was this is going to be our best chance to punch our way into the postseason. We feel like we got a lineup that can do enough. We need to be able to lock it down on the mound because everybody's talking about if you have guys that can get deep into the postseason, deep into these games, you don't expose your bullpen, yada, 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 we can go on and on, then that was going to be a winning recipe. And unfortunately, they were not able to put together a season that they were able to benefit from the presence of those guys, partly because there's injuries and yada, yada, again. But what changes? A lot changes now because you're not just looking for a 2-year window with a guy like Yamamoto, like you were looking for with Verlander or Scherzer.
Well, he's going to want opt-outs.
Well, so let's have that discussion. But maybe you're not getting one of those until it's year 3. And if that's a thing, okay. Because now, isn't that sort of consistent? But isn't that consistent with what the messaging was to Max Scherzer? Is next year, I don't know, the year after, maybe a little more aggressive towards being competitive again? So then if it's that 3-year window, you've had Yamamoto for 3 years, does his impact shorten that rebound? And if it does, well, you've got 2 to 3 years of him before he even considers an opt-out. Like, for me, this is something that Steve Cohen has to be all over. Has to be all over.
Mets need pitchers. They're just so weird. It's weird. It's like they spent so much and then we're like, we're not spending. And then it just seems like what The fuck? They have to spend. They're the Mets.
Yeah, you can't be a team that wants to fancy themselves as a competitor in this division.
Yeah.
Somebody who feels like you should be beating the Atlanta Braves and beating the Philadelphia Phillies. The one
If
thing
this
that
guy, if he's only 25 and you're thinking long term, if the Mets are sustainable success and you don't have to give up any prospects for him, makes a lot of sense for the Mets.
the one thing
You
that
got Senga already. You could take Jared's dream of being Team Japan.
Well, that right there, Joe, is something like seriously that has been talked about, and whether or not having two Japanese players on the same team is something that they like, that they're really comfortable with.
Where did that fucking rumor come from?
What's that? Well, I think it's because
I forget who had that out there, but it's something like, oh, like Japanese players don't like playing on the same MLB team together. They look like they have a good time playing together. Fucking Team Japan, they win every game. The fuck?
But,
like what? Who made that up? Like that's fake.
Well, hold on.
Oh yeah,
That's,
if you have a player from Japan, you can't sign another one because then they'll fight each other like they're fighting fish. Like what are we talking about?
No, it's because I'm not saying this is because why. Let's just not blanketly speak about it without acknowledging the difference in the detail and the nuance. Like Team Japan, WBC, of course, everything's going to be great. But now let's think about being in, Cincinnati, Ohio for a 4-game set against the Reds in June. What does that look like? Well, now what you have is just logistically, translators, massage therapists, stretch guys, like personal performance, and like a player, an international player, whether he's Japanese, Chinese, Korean, doesn't matter. They come with more moving parts just because the guy that you signed from Tulane University who's making his big league debut, he doesn't have an interpreter coming with him. He doesn't have a massage therapist coming with him. He doesn't have a personal performance coach coming with him. So there's just layers to having an international player that could create logistical hurdles. But there's also about, like, from what I had gathered, like a respect issue and like a hierarchy type deal. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just like we talked about, it's been thrown about.
Going into the 2007 Major League Baseball season, the Red Sox signed Daisuke Matsuzaka and Hideki Okajima. Jake, what did that team do?
They did pretty well, Jared.
Yeah, they won the World Series. Also,
one of those guys a starter?
Okajima made the All-Star team that year as a reliever. And then Daisuke pitched very well in postseason. Actually has more RBI in the World Series than Aaron Judge as a pitcher. He does. Drove in, I believe it was game 3, Colorado, of the World Series. So I don't want to hear it. And how you avoid that is you make your entire roster Japanese baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would see. I would be interested to, or I guess really curious to dive into that conversation to figure out if that carries as much weight as I think people might think it does.
That sounds like a John Heyman thing to say. He just makes shit up. He really does. He just fucking makes shit up.
Like being and I mean, this is in Puerto Rico, right? So
people
US
are all
territory.
mad at Carissa Thompson. Get mad at John Heyman. You want to talk about making shit up? John Heyman.
But like when I was in Puerto Rico playing, like I said, it's a U.S. territory. It's not like I was over in Japan playing, but you gravitate towards the other imports, the other guys who speak English, because
that's lazy.
clubhouse is full of guys speaking Spanish.
That's lazy. I'm an English-speaking American, and if we had Yamamoto and Ohtani, I'm speaking Japanese as a first language. You have to learn Japanese if you want to speak to me. It's just about effort. It's just about effort. That's all it is. It's just about who cares more. That's all it is. Do you care or do you not? I care. I also care about Indochino. Because no matter what's in your closet, Indochino makes it easy for you to keep your wardrobe fresh with looks made just for you, from suits and shirts to outerwear and more. And for a limited time, you can shop Indochino's best prices of the year during their Black Friday event. Don't wait. Book your appointment now with sales starting in-store and online November 6th. That was like 3 weeks ago. Made for you suits. Well, those start at just $349, and premium shirts start at just $49. I was wearing a suit from Indochino at the Pedro Martinez Foundation event. Looking fly as hell. Looking sharp. Fit me like a glove. Get more looks for less with Indochino's unbelievable bundles. 2 suits starting at just $749 and 5 shirts at $249. Give yourself countless customizable options with new styles and fabrics added throughout the sale. Every suit is made to your exact measurements. So for me, it's about, 6'3", but about 60 inches wide type deal, shoulder to shoulder. You can customize every single detail. Create a suit that fits you and your style perfectly with endless customization options, so you get the exact look that you want. Blazers, pants, shirts, and more, designed and made for you. Hundreds of high-quality fabrics to choose from. Quality European wools, linen, and cotton in a wide range of colors and patterns. Design a look personalized to your style and taste without the luxury price tag. Submit your measurements online or work with one of Indochino's expert style guides to create an outfit made just for you. Their unique process allows you to choose the exact customizations that you want, from buttons and vents to pockets and lapels. You say how you want it, and that is how they will build it. They're always adding new prices and options so you can stay on trend and in style. Refresh your wardrobe with the best prices of the year during Indochino's Black Friday event. Secure your appointment now with sales starting in-store and online on November 6th at Indochino. That is INDOCHINO.com. Before we move on from the Yamamoto Ohtani discussion, Ohtani doesn't want anyone. He's holding these secret meetings, Dallas.
Love it. Love it.
He is saying, listen, I'm going to meet with teams, and you better keep your fucking mouth shut. That's what he's saying. And he even said, he will hold it against teams if the meetings leak. So if he meets with your team and John Heyman's out here being like, sources, I'm fucking Shohei Ohtani met with the Dodgers last week and it went really well. Well, Shohei's going to say, well, guess what? It's not going so well right now. You're out.
I love
See
it.
ya.
I
Bye-bye.
absolutely love it.
Bye-bye.
And I would love for him
Go fuck yourself.
I would love for him to send a few red herrings out there as well. Let's just see. Just plant a seed and see if that seed starts to pop up and grow somewhere in somebody's orchard that it shouldn't be in. Let's see. Because
why can't I?
Why can't what, Joe? He has to know this is a wonderful move. Wonderful move. You're signing up the fucking Stones, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Elton John. You're signing every one of those people up, all wrapped into one when it comes to what sort of star power and eyeballs are about to be on your organization and on his personal situation. Think about what is coming down the pipeline for the team that is going to be signing Shohei Ohtani. They're going to answer the question, if he plays the duration of his contract, they will be answering the question and making the determination when and what role he ultimately sticks to at the end of his career, whether he is just a pitcher or just a hitter. That very well could be determined by this organization. The decision on how everything is handled with his rehab and the arm and the pitching, all of that is going to be under a microscope and will be scrutinized to great lengths. So how do I figure out how you're going to handle all of that? Whether or not you can keep your mouth shut when we talk. That's how I'm going to find out. And if
I'm just saying,
if you don't treat me a certain way, and I can see that already happening, you're talking about a guy who mapped out his entire life on a piece of paper. So he knows how this is going to go. And he knows that it doesn't involve you running your mouth, chirping. You can't kiss and tell. Can't do it.
Well, why can't a team just be like, if I'm the Red Sox and we're trying to make Team Japan, and we know we got the Dodgers over here trying to get Shohei, but we want to be Team Japan. Why can't we be like, yo, John Heyman, guess what we heard from the Dodgers? And then John Heyman goes, Dodgers are willing to offer Shohei, blah, blah, blah. And they had a meeting with a big cake.
I mean, journalistic integrity has to kick in.
What the fuck? Why are the Dodgers leaking my shit? I'm Shohei. I don't fuck with that. Now he's going to the Red Sox. Why? This is just opening up a lot of leakage. That's a fake. Yeah, leak wars. 100%.
Well, you just drop league sources or industry sources, right? Like, could we see an unprecedented amount of industry sources as opposed to teams being specifically identified? Industry sources are stating that
someone's leaking it.
Yeah, but someone's saying something.
But it's
not. I don't think that his fear is that they're leaking it to.
Because what if Shohei says
leaking it to somebody?
Because I need Shohei to go. I need Shohei and his camp to go, you know what? We're not really interested in pitching for like the next 3 years. We really want to give the arm time to bounce back. The way we look at it, that's no wear and tear on the arm. It's not like it's getting older. It's just getting every opportunity to get back to Cy Young caliber. And then they're not serious about that at all. But wherever that report pops up, now you know. Oh, well, we only told one team that. Only one team did we tell that. Why? Because it wasn't fucking true at all. But now we know where it's come from. So you gone. Next, yeah, Shohei's gonna bat right-handed for the next 2 years. We just want to kick that around, right?
Or Tom of the baboon ligament. He's getting the baboon ligament surgery.
Yeah. Holler at me, Ipe.
I just can't see that being that much of a deciding factor. A little leak. Come on. We're talking about a man's
He's a private
future,
man,
dude.
He's a private man.
But it's like,
it's a test. It's a test. It's a discipline test.
100%.
Can I trust you?
Yes.
I'm about to sign my life away to you for the next decade. Can I trust you? No? Okay, then we already have a fractured relationship.
Yep.
That is true, because wherever he goes, he's going to be the guy in charge, or at least that's what it was with the Angels. They got to do whatever the fuck. He didn't even go to picture day.
Well, it's because
people,
so if there's going to be a franchise be like, no, you got to follow the rules here. That might not work.
You're not just signing up a dude.
Franchise.
You're not just signing up a dude who hits and then pitches and then doesn't have to do anything to take care of himself differently because he does those things. Like, he's not a cyborg. I know we get lost sometimes and we don't remember that he's actually human, but there's so much that comes with preparing and taking care of a guy like this that if you are an organization that he feels like, I don't know, you think he wants to play somewhere where he could run the risk of having the GM come out and say some shit about his inability to stay healthy on the field? Like, that'd be a tough place to play. And maybe Shohei doesn't want to play for somebody who would be willing to make those kind of public statements. And you know what? He can find out whether or not they're willing to do those kind of things based on his interaction with them and what sort of information they exchange, whether that becomes public or not.
I also saw like some of the slapdick radio people being like, well, what if he just never pitches again? Like, what if he can't come back and pitch again? You're going to pay $40 million for a DH? First of all, yes. like acting like the Red Sox winning fucking 4 World Series, like 3 of them were on the back of a fucking really good DH.
Yeah.
Like, just a dude that comes up and waffles baseballs all the time, and the deal basically pays for itself. Yeah. If Shohei was like, listen, you know, this is a really tough decision. I think I made my point. Like, the first player ever with 2 unanimous MVP awards, doing both. I went out there. People said I couldn't do it. I did it, but I really want to focus on one. I just want to hit. It's fine. And be like, you know what? $40 fucking million a year for you to be my DH.
Steal.
Yes.
And it's 100%. Like, dude, it would take him like 6 months to become the best outfielder in the league. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah, if you really want to, go out there and like rack up some more wins above replacement, standing out in right field,
sticking him
like
in
tracking
first
down
base.
fly balls. Do it.
I'm sticking him in first base. Just be an athlete. Over there.
Yeah, either one. I don't give a fuck. If Shohei is just like, yeah, I just want to hit and I'll play whatever position you want me to, and I'll be like at least like a league average defender. Done. $40 million. Done. That's a steal. Like you're profiting off of giving him $40 million to not pitch anymore if that happens to be the case. Like it'd be cool. I'd love to see it again, but like, do I need it? No, I don't. It's fine. Whatever you want to do.
So that right there, Joe, that's why. All of that is why. Keep your fucking mouth shut.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up in Boston, all right? You didn't see shit. I'll kill people. I like if there's anyone that like accidentally saw Shohei get out of a limo with like the fucking hood on, he's just walking in, and like, oh, you think you saw something? No, you didn't. I would kidnap that person until after he signed, and then I'll let him go after. But you're not saying a fucking word, dude.
So you're thinking there's going to be no Aaron Judge video from last year of Shohei? God. Like, how are they going to get this guy in and out of meetings? It's just going to be radio silent?
I don't know.
Underground bunkers?
You're going to have to meet him at like an undisclosed location. Like the Red Sox, I would say if they were smart, they would go meet him in like the Grand Canyon. No one's going to see that. Be like, we'll get you a private jet. We'll fly you out to the Grand Canyon. We'll have this meeting. No one will ever see it. No one will ever discuss it. It's just, Craig.
They're going to have to build a new Fenway Park replica. Just show them around the stadium because you can't do it at the real Fenway. People would know. So
I'll just FaceTime him and show him.
Okay.
He already loves Boston. He's said that. He's like, I fucking love Boston. I love Fenway. I love the Red Sox.
Love Dunkin' Donuts.
I love Dunkin' Donuts. I love Name Redacted. I love Jake's content. I love his videos. I want to be in one. He's like, I'm going to announce that I'm signing with the Red Sox in a video with Jake.
That'll do numbies.
I mean, it'll help him out big time. That'll put him on the map. People will start talking about Shohei after that. So we'll see. Justin Havens. It's a big episode for you.
Yep.
It's a big episode for you. For anyone, first of all, thank you to all of our new Japanese listeners and viewers. If this is your first episode of Baseball is Dead, welcome. That right there is Justin Havens. And what we are doing is every week we're going to give Jayhay, as he's so known by the fans, a different year to break down the MVP race in that particular year with the benefit of statistical analysis that we just didn't have in the 1950s or 60s or whatever year it is. What year did we go with this time? What year is it?
2014. So we had computers, thankfully. Yep.
We had computers then, but we were still in the batting average, home runs, RBI, were king type discussion when it came to baseball vernacular. So without further ado, what are we calling this segment? We'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll think about it. We'll come up with something very snappy.
It's not going to be. Yeah. He's going to look back at the 2014 MVP race.
All right. So 2014, good year to start. For those who don't remember off the cuff, the AL MVP was Mike Trout. The NL MVP was Clayton Kershaw. So two legends to break down here. Let's start in the AL because I think that's a slightly more interesting situation. I know not everybody is as old as I am. So for those of you who are not squarely in adulthood in 2014, let me bring you back to that time and place. Mike Trout won his first MVP that year, but the stage that had been set was consecutive years of being a runner-up to Miguel Cabrera. And to Jared's point about this being the home run RBI kind of era, that's true to a degree because one of those years was the Triple Crown by Miguel Cabrera. So that was kind of like the push and the pull that you had at this time was Mike Trout was kind of, in some ways, kind of like the first wins above replacement MVP candidate or the first candidate where that was really being used to drive his candidacy towards a win up against a more traditional candidate in Miguel Cabrera. So you enter in 2014, there had been a portion of the voting block and just the general media that I think were ready for Mike Trout to win the MVP. And that's what makes this so interesting is he did win it in 2014. He had 36 home runs. He had 111 RBI and he had 16 stolen bases. He had a 939 OPS. He led Major League Baseball in total bases and runs scored, while leading the AL in RBI and strikeouts. It's interesting because, the purpose of this segment is in part to go back and say, was there an injustice done? Was this the right choice by the voters? And at the end of the day, the short answer to that question is yes. They made the right decision in selecting Mike Trout as the MVP in the AL in 2014. What's more interesting is where this season ranks in Mike Trout's career, and B, some of the other stuff that you kind of had going on around him this season. This is the 8th best season in Mike Trout's career by OPS plus, and it's the 9th best season if you include what was a partial 2021 season. So his first MVP and the year that they finally decided to reward him for the start of his career is, like, in the context of his career, almost a forgettable campaign. And it was the first year where he started to really slow down on the base paths. He went from 33 stolen bases in 13 to 16 stolen bases in 14. The voters ignored that, I think wisely. He was the correct choice. But that's the sort of trend that we were starting to see, is some of the most eye-popping stuff that Trout did was not done in this season. Like, this was a pedestrian campaign. Dallas, go ahead.
That was the year too, Jayhay, that they had the conversation with Trout and said, hey, look, what you're doing offensively for us, we're not going to get caught up with the stealing. We want more power. We want you to really tap into that power. And so what did he do that year? He had almost 10 home runs more than he did the year before, while hitting the same amount of doubles. So you saw him acknowledge what they had suggested, which was, okay, I'll reel it in a little on the base path, and let's just try to keep me healthy. Try to keep, and that was also the start of, or not the start of, that was in the middle of, correct me if I'm wrong, Jayhay, 9 top 5 MVP finishes. Yep. 9 years in a row, top 5 MVP finishes. And this year, as Jayhay brilliantly pointed out, 2014, year 1 of his MVP run, the worst MVP season he had.
Oh, no question. I mean,
not even close.
It wasn't nearly as good by basically any standard as his 2012 season, where he won the Rookie of the Year and finished second in the MVP, nor was it as good as his 13 season when he finished second in the MVP again. Like, it wasn't a, we gotta finally reward this guy because we've been boning him for years award, but it kind of was that too. Like, he deserved it, so it wasn't, but it was also like, this just wasn't the same caliber of year that he's put up, not just before, but after this award too. Like, this was not as good as some of the, like, really heavy duty power seasons that he's put up since. Like, this was 150 points of OPS lower than what he did when he won the MVP in 19. 150 points of OPS lower than what he did in his other MVP season in 19. Couple of other things I wanted to note about this too. He was number 2 in the AL in baseball reference WAR and number 1 among batters. He was number 1 in F-WAR, and it was a massive gap between him and the number 2 batter. The only person who there are 2 people, according to WAR, who present something of a challenge to Trout's MVP this year. According to B-WAR, it's Corey Kluber, who posted 8.1 WAR, 235 innings with a 2.44 ERA and 269 strikeouts, led the AL in wins. And F-WAR, it's Jonathan, and then among batters, it was Michael Brantley, who was the most competitive regardless. So I think, like, Corey Kluber just didn't have a season. Like, a 2.44 ERA is not going to register MVP votes for a pitcher. It's just not. So regardless of what WAR says, yeah.
And Jayhay, after, like, it legitimately took Miguel Cabrera winning the Triple Crown. The most hollowed offensive acknowledgement that you could have as a player outside of the MVP. And then they were like, well, shit, we're going to give that thing to pitchers too, right? Thanks, Verlander. Thanks, Justin Verlander. Thanks, Clayton Kershaw. So when you win the Triple Crown and the way that has been put on, the pedestal that it has been put on, that's where I think after that, they were like, man, Feel like Trout got absolutely hosed, boned, as Jayhay would say. This next year, like we can't even entertain it not being him.
And the final two things that I'll say about this one before we go to Kershaw, to speak to Dallas's point. A, he got all 30 first place votes. So this wasn't a conversation at the end of the day. And secondly, I think he benefited from something. And listen, he's been punished the other way in years too. He benefited from what was a down season in terms of AL MVP candidates around him. Like the other best players that year in terms of just the voting were Victor Martinez, Michael Brantley, Jose Abreu, Robinson Cano, Jose Bautista. Those are obviously very, very good players. None of those people put up a season that in hindsight would have looked correct as the MVP. So Mike Trout, congratulations. First person we talked about in this segment, the 2014 MVP correctly belonged to him.
What's the biggest anomaly about that season? Made the playoffs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good
Don't
point.
see that every day.
No, or any other season. Yeah.
No.
Not just every day. Any day.
Any day.
Just one day. 3 days. Got swept.
On the NL side, this one's fun too, because obviously it's a pretty rare occurrence when a pitcher wins the MVP. Clayton Kershaw won thanks to 198 and a third innings pitched with a 1.77 ERA, 239 strikeouts, and a league-leading 21 wins for those who are into that sort of thing. A couple of things that are interesting. Let me put you back into the time and place, because we've seen some of these seasons since, but we had not seen seasons like this really before. At the time, that 1.77 ERA was the lowest by any pitcher in baseball over in a qualified season since Pedro in 2000. So 14 seasons had elapsed, and it was the lowest in the NL since Maddox in 95. So almost 2 full decades had passed since a starter in the NL had put up an ERA like this over a full season. So there was a eye-poppingness. Like I know Verlander in 22 put up a sub 2. Arrieta has done it since. There's been a few instances, but at the time, Kershaw throwing up a 1.77 was absolutely crazy, and still is, even with the benefit of hindsight. This one is interesting kind of for a different reason, because two things. A, he won the MVP as a pitcher while not throwing 200 innings, which I think is interesting in its own right. Like, you would think that an MVP caliber pitching season would be like, I'm throwing 230 to 250 innings and I'm the best pitcher in the league, and that's how I won the MVP. And I think it speaks to two things. A, how fucking utterly dominant he was on a per inning basis to win the MVP and do so justifiably by wins above replacement while not throwing 200 innings. That's the first thing that stands out to me.
He led the league in complete games, start there, and the domination. So granted, you didn't have the 200 inning mark, the heralded 200 inning mark, but what you did in inning and a third less is absurd. I mean, if you're just looking for the 200 round number, I get it, but let's just peel an inning and a third off and then think about what you got instead. And that is absurd. 239 punch outs in the 198 and a third innings. The sub 1, the sub 0.9 whip, fucking 0.85. 0.85 whip. Punching out 12 per 9. Yeah, you didn't have a fucking chance. You didn't have a shot.
And this is one, like, I felt at the time, because I was like, I followed the MVP voting in 2014. I was like I was 29 years old at the time, I think. So old enough to remember this stuff. I remember thinking at the time, like, I wonder how a pitcher winning the MVP is going to age. I wonder if we're being kind of like victims of the moment here and being like, wow, but it really should go to a hitter. You know what I mean? And I actually feel really good about where this MVP ended up with Kershaw, because the main candidates against him were, so it's 4 guys. It doesn't really matter which war you look at. It's the same group of 4 guys. It's Giancarlo Stanton, Andrew McCutchen, Buster Posey, and Jonathan Lucroy. And in actuality, Lucroy is actually the most compelling WAR candidate. And I think that would have felt wrong in hindsight for Jonathan Lucroy, largely being aided by like some fucking wild framing numbers to have won the MVP over Clayton Kershaw's like historically epic season. So feel good about that. And all the hitters like Posey, Kutch, and Stanton had really, really good offensive seasons. None of them had offensive seasons where you look back and you're like, that dude was robbed. Like Stanton hit 37 homers and had a 950 OPS. Okay. His MVP would come, right? And we know what season that we knew what that season was when it was happening. McCutcheon's was one of more of those like all around great seasons where he hit 300, 400, 500 with 25 homers and 18 steals. Like, yeah, wouldn't have been a historically bad MVP, but really not on the level that Clayton Kershaw did. What's interesting to me, the one stat I wanted to share before I end this is by B-WAR, it's the fourth best season in AL or NL history by a pitcher who threw fewer than 200 innings pitched, behind only Goose Gossage in 1975, primarily as a reliever, Pedro Martinez in 2003, and a guy named John Hiller with the 1973 Tigers, also primarily in relief. So if you're looking for just starters, the only starter in AL or NL history who was this dominant in this few innings was Pedro in 03. So feel good about it.
Wow. Hell of a debut for the segment, Jayhay.
And,
no outrage. I'm not going to fake outrage. If it's the right choice, it's the right choice, right?
Yeah.
And that was also
land on that as well.
2014 Jayhay. There were a couple other MVPs that were born that year. That was the year that you and I worked together for the first time at ESPN.
Wow, man. Thanks for remembering. That was yeah. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of our run then. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
Next season?
Next season will be 10 years.
We should celebrate that.
It's enough.
Maybe we do like maybe next year every podcast, so 3 times a week for the whole season, maybe we just do a countdown of the best moments.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to yank on him. Yeah.
Well,
we have to pick the next year.
2014. Yeah, we do the randomizer. Let's get it. I'm really excited about this.
Okay. All right. From 1911, right, to 2022.
No, 1931. I corrected that because we're just doing the BBWAA era.
Okay. 1931 to 2022.
Tell me what it is, and I'll tell you what we're dealing with.
For next week's segment is 1946.
Oh, that's great. We get a totally different era to discuss, and this is good.
Probably another year that Ted Williams got fucked.
Actually, it is Ted Williams' winning season.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
he got fucked in 1941. They finally got it right. They were like, oh, well, I don't know.
Well, we don't know if
he's not on the Yankees, so therefore, how could he be MVP? That's how they fucking voted back then. Stupid motherfuckers.
Well, it's the year he won. So what I'm interested to see is was that the right decision? We'll have to figure it out. And in the NL, so 2 all-timers to debate here. Stan Musial won in the NL that year.
Okay.
So
this is going to be a juicy one.
We got Stan and Ted. Did they deserve it? Or will I spit on that frozen little head of his?
Too soon.
Oh, is it unfrozen? Or is it still frozen?
No, it's frozen, brother.
Yeah, it's frozen.
Frozen. It's going to be frozen for centuries, millennium.
Yeah, well, unfreeze them so we can wake up to this segment or listen to this segment next week.
Fuck this.
Damn. That was Ted Williams, by the way.
1946.
1946. American League champion Boston Red Sox in 1946, going down in 7 games to St. Louis Cardinals. Wow. What a year. Johnny Pesky. It was a good squad. Dom DiMaggio, the forgotten DiMaggio. We had one too, who was arguably, I don't want to say just as good, but he was very good. Dom, the little professor, as they called him. So next week, 1946 MVPs will be broken down by our very own Justin Havens here. We do have Brewers Mount Rushmore coming up. I know that a lot of people were asking if we were going to resume the Mount Rushmore segment. We are next. And then last night, I was just sitting at home on my couch in my little penguin footy pajamas, and I was like, you know what? I'm curious. I got a question for the people. And I asked the question, what's the most rewatchable MLB game that wasn't played by your favorite team? We got over 400 responses to that tweet. Over 400 responses to that tweet. So I put it in the group text to the guys, and I was like, think about this. I want you to have an answer ready to go for the podcast. So we're going to discuss those things. But first, you already know, it's the Game Time app. You shouldn't have to worry about when you're going to buy tickets for the next big event that you want to go to see. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets to all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Obviously, it's not baseball season anymore, so you're not going to be buying tickets to go see a baseball game right now. Actually, wasn't there just like a big baseball game at Citi Field? Was that a thing?
Yeah, the what you call it? Who was it? Not Venezuela. Was it Venezuela?
I have no idea. I just saw like a bunch of people were sending me videos of like the crowd at Citi Field, and I was like, for what?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
There's Liga games going on. The Caribbean series, not Caribbean series, but Caribbean League.
Okay, all right. So I guess there is still baseball being played if you want to go see baseball, but go see a concert. Go do something inside. Go see a football game. Go see a concert. Go see a stand-up comedian or something like that. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total upfront so you know what you're getting, and it's going to be a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds with just 2 taps. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find the exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and the Game Time app will pick the seats for big time savings. And the Game Time guarantee means that you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code Jared, that is Jared, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Use the promo code Jared, Jared, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, here we are. It is the Milwaukee Brewers Mount Rushmore. And I'll be honest, I don't think that we're going to have a lot of discrepancy here. I don't think that I wouldn't be shocked if we all had the same one. Maybe the order is a little bit different, but let's start with number 1. The number 1 pick. Tell me that I'm right. Tell me that I'm wrong. Bob Uecker is my number 1. Like when I think about the Milwaukee Brewers, I think of you. I think, listen, we can debate it because usually we do, like when we first started doing the Mount Rushmore segments, we had, we would have our 4 players or whatever. And then over time, it's like, all right, well, maybe we had our top 3 players. And then there's always like that historical figure. It doesn't necessarily have to be a player, even though he did play. But that 4th spot, like I think like when we did the Phillies, I think the Fanatic made the Mount Rushmore. It's like, you think of the Phillies, you think of the Fanatic. I get it. But it's usually reserved for the 4th spot. When I think of the Brewers, I think of Bob Uecker. Did anyone else?
He never even played for the Brewers. So
did anyone else have Bob Uecker as their number 1?
Not as my number 1. Not as my number 1. And I would argue, I'm not arguing against him being your number 1 pick. I would argue that a lot of the clout that comes along with Mr. Uecker is due in part to his role as a non-member of the Milwaukee Brewers. His role as a Brewers radio guy and just a Brewers personality benefits from the reasons that you had fallen in love with him, whether it was because you were young enough to watch Mr. Belvedere like I was, or whether it's because you appreciate Major League, the series, just like we all do. But I would say, and again, gently push back that the reasons that I think a lot of people are in love with Mr. Uecker are not necessarily because of moments that you have shared with him or experienced with him in Brewers history, but more so because of what he has meant to the game of baseball and just pop culture. because of the Mr. Belvedere run, because of Major League, because that is just an iconic character. And it's Bob Uecker. That's Ueck. So because he's with the Brewers, like I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong, because I agree. I love that man. Love the dude. I just think that might be a part of why we love him so much, as opposed to, like, man, you remember that great Brewers moment. You remember, I don't know if that's necessarily why, but so on my list, yes, spoiler alert, I've only got 3 more. He just wasn't the number one.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, he never played he never played for the Brewers. He played for the Milwaukee Braves. Do the Milwaukee Braves count?
Yeah, it's the franchise.
Okay.
Well,
so Milwaukee Braves count.
So we need to be careful here, because the franchise is the Milwaukee Brewers with one season as the Seattle Pilots. The Milwaukee Braves is a separate franchise that plays in Atlanta. So my intention when I said the Brewers was for it to be the Brewers franchise. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ueck gets on Mount Rushmore, never played a fucking game, dude.
Yeah. I mean, that's how much call is in the ballpark. Like, they have his call. It's like a part of, it's like lights up. It's like a sign out in left field. Like, he is just as ingrained in the culture. Yeah, he has his own seat. He's just as ingrained in the culture as any other person that's going to appear on this list.
I don't think there's any question that he belongs on Mount Rushmore. He's not my number one. To me, the top 2 are like a 1 and 1A thing. I don't know even how you would parse them necessarily, but he belongs there. We also have to remember, like, this is only a franchise that has existed since 1969, so it doesn't necessarily have the wealth of options to pick from that some of the other franchises do. And one thing that I think we're going to get to at some point when we realize the crop of people that we're picking from is that there are very few franchises that have such a poor history of high-end pitching. Yes.
I swear to fucking God, if a pitcher appears on this list, you are disqualified.
What?
No, I don't think I'm with Jared on this. I don't know if disqualification is the answer, but I think trying to shoehorn a pitcher onto this list is a mistake.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a mistake.
Nah, we do know.
I don't know.
Dallas is going to come out here with fucking Giovanni Gallardo. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I don't know if it's a mistake. I mean,
you're an idiot. Who's your number one, Dallas? Who's your number one?
I think it's going to be Robin Yount.
Okay.
Robin Yount. I mean, like Jayhay said, Yount, Molitor, where do you want to put him?
I mean,
to me, you got 3 out of my 4. So you can, wherever you want to put Yount and Molitor, knock yourself out. Throw Bob in there as well. Throw Ueck in there.
Yount and Molitor are as easy of inclusions in this Rushmore as any players are inclusions in any Rushmores that we do. Like, that's how easy it is to put those 2 on there, because they were like the most successful era of Brewers baseball, basically, up at, with the possible exception of this current era, depending on what you value, because the 1982 Brewers went to the World Series. Lost, but went to the World Series.
Let's just remember that Robin Yount was 18 years old playing a big league shortstop. Okay, just don't ever lose sight of that. What were you doing at 18?
I was A-Rod. Then you never put any respect on his name.
Yeah, well, Robin Yount deserves all that respect, and also Robin Yount. One of the coolest cards I have, a 1/1 on card auto booklet of Robin Yount rookie. It's phenomenal.
Robin Yount is my number 2. All time in games played in franchise history, all time in hits, all time in wins above replacement, all time in runs, total bases, singles, doubles, triples, RBI, walks, and runs created. Leads the franchise in all of those things. He is
2 MVPs.
Very, very, very worthy of being everybody's number 1.
And not only, in addition to that, Dallas, Jared's right. I shouldn't have said 1 and 1A, because I do think Robin Yount is the correct answer and Paul Molitor is 2. Because of the success that Paul Molitor experienced with other franchises.
With the Jays.
But yeah, I mean, he won a World Series MVP with another team. So maybe the other guy who spent his whole career with the Brewers gets to be number 1.
That's fair. I'm with
the
that.
interesting thing about Yount, pretty rare combination of 2-time MVP and only a 3-time All-Star. You don't see many guys
really
there are not many 2-time MVPs in baseball history, and most of the guys who are like 10 to 12 time All-Stars.
Perennial.
Yeah. And I tend to think like they got it right more with the MVP thing than the All-Star thing.
All-Star?
Like three All-Stars for Robin Yount feels stupid as hell. But like,
well, and Jay, how many of those All-Star? Well, I'm gonna guess none. There's only 3 of them. How many of those come like at the end of a guy's career, where like even in that day and age, because this is late 80s, early 90s.
All of his were clustered. It was 80, 82, and 83, and he didn't make any All-Star teams. He didn't even make the All-Star team in the year he won MVP in 89.
So there's no end of the year or end of the career send off. You know what I mean? Like, Robin Yount, former 2-time MVP, organizational hero. Let's get him to the All-Star
maybe
game.
That MVP is fraudulent. We'll get to that when we get to 1989, I guess.
Wow.
3,000 hits for both those dudes. Quick nug. Robin Yount, one of 23 players in baseball history with 250 plus homers and 250 plus stolen bases in his career. So well balanced. In terms of B-WAR, he's in the same range as Brooks Robinson, Ozzie Smith, and Reggie Jackson, to give you the kind of player that he was overall in his career. Molitor, he had 500 plus stolen bases. One of 4 players in baseball history with 200 plus homers and 500 plus steals. The only other players are Bonds, Ricky Henderson, and Joe Morgan. Clear and obvious choices.
Yeah. I don't have Molitor on my list.
Stop.
Why not? Why?
Yes, stop it.
What?
I
Dude,
think he's being
stop.
serious.
What are you talking about?
I think he's being serious.
You're trying to throw out relegation and being disqualified, and you don't have Paul Molitor?
No. He's
You're higher
too
than I
known
am.
For multiple franchises.
No.
Jared,
He spent 15 years with the Brewers.
I'm gonna give you an opportunity
6 with the other franchises combined. And nobody gives a fuck about his managerial career.
Yeah, you were right here. You're getting ready to go out of the port, Jared. You're getting ready to go out of the port, and the seas are getting high.
You've got Robin Yount, you've got Bob Uecker, and you have no pitchers. And no Paul Molitor.
He's got Bob Uecker. He's got Robin Yount, and now he's got no Paul Molitor and no pitchers.
I mean, I had one
Prince
dude.
Fielder,
My
Christian Yelich.
Pitchers.
No, I agree.
Pitchers.
I agree. You're just running out of candidates at some point. So I thought I had a wild card candidate. Maybe that's one of the guys who's filling your spots, but I don't know how you can put him.
It's pretty obvious who are in my last 2.
No, he's going to go Prince Fielder, Christian Yelich. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you are.
Who are you going?
Ryan Braun, Prince Fielder.
Oh, God.
Yes. Yep. Prince Fielder, all time in OPS and OPS plus in franchise history. Ryan Braun, all time home run leader for the franchise and won an MVP.
Ryan Braun is literally the most disgraced baseball player, for you're going to jail type shit in recent baseball history.
So that would you have Mark McGwire on the Cardinals?
Have we done the Cardinals? I forgot the list at this point.
I don't know that we did.
Maybe not. The idea that you would go to Mark McGwire
would you have
for
Barry
Ryan
Bonds
Braun in terms of cultural fucking impact?
Would you have Barry Bonds on the Giants?
I would.
Okay.
Well,
I'm saying, first of all,
we're talking about
we're all on the same page. We're all on the same page that Ryan Braun's not the same caliber of player.
I'm speaking for the people.
I don't know. I don't know that I could say that.
They would want Braun on the.
I promise you that the people of Milwaukee would not want Ryan Braun over Paul Molitor. I would bet everything.
I'm just saying, would they want Ryan Braun on at all?
No.
I don't think that that's true.
I think Ryan Braun is completely and utterly disgraced.
Maybe in the public outside nationally, but in Milwaukee, I don't know that that's true.
He's not. Here's the problem as well with Ryan Braun's candidacy is he's not definitively more valuable as a position player than a couple of other guys, one of whom is Prince Fielder. The other 2 are Christian Yelich and Cecil Cooper. It's very hard for me to distinguish between those 4 players if we're trying to fit a non-Molitor Yount position player in here, because you're right. Ryan Braun probably had the best overall run of those players. He's also a disgraced PED user who basically looked right into the camera and said, "This man is a trash liar," and that man had done nothing wrong.
He said he was anti-Semitic. He said, "This guy made me test positive because he's anti-Semitic," when He knew that was not true.
Mark McGwire never did anything like that, just for the record.
He lied in fucking court.
I think he actually didn't he take the 5th?
Yeah, he said, I'm not here to talk about the past.
Yeah, wasn't it
And
Rafael Palmeiro did the finger wag?
Yeah,
that was Palmeiro, who's also, by the way, totally disgraced.
Mac didn't lie.
He
was there to talk about the past. That was the whole fucking point of him being there. It wasn't a
that's
public
not,
appearance.
No. That might have been why you had him there, but that's not why he was there.
Prince Fielder was literally a good Brewer for a third of the time that Paul Molitor was. Prince Fielder was good for 5 years.
When you think about the Brewers, you think about Prince Fielder.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that you do.
Yeah.
I think people forget about Prince Fielder very quickly now, actually.
I don't think that they do.
There's no justification for Prince Fielder being better than Paul Molitor. So let's start there.
Better. I didn't say he was. It's not about.
He's not more iconic either. He was not a part of more successful teams. He was not a better baseball player. So what is he?
He was iconic in Milwaukee. He was
not more iconic.
What he is? You know what
Paul
he is?
Molitor.
He's larger than life.
Yeah.
Prince Fielder also, by the way, if we're doing this spent time on other teams, he spent a larger percentage of his career on other teams than Paul Molitor did.
You guys, it's not about how long the visit was. It's how long. It's how the visit made you feel.
No,
it's how the visit made you feel.
I'm willing to entertain Prince Fielder as a fourth and final entrant.
Made me feel a lot of good emotions.
Well, you know what? You talk to the good folks in Milwaukee about what 1981 was like on the mound for them, and they're going to tell you look no further than one Raleigh Fingers.
There's no
Raleigh Fingers. Sign him up, Jared. Raleigh Fingers. Because if you were there for that year, buddy, he won the MVP. He won the Cy Young. Yeah. What's better? What's better?
Wow, dude had 2 good seasons in Milwaukee.
No, that's not my pick. Time out. Let's clarify.
Okay.
That is not. Yes. No. I was just saying.
You were just trying to give
response,
some love to an Oakland guy because we hadn't talked about Oakland yet. In this
maybe.
Yeah.
But to Jared's response about don't worry about the time spent there. It's how the visit made you feel. Well, if we're just there for 2 years and you're rubbing out an MVP and you're rubbing out a Cy Young in the same season, that's a hell of a visit. That is a visit well paid for.
I find it interesting that Jared, in terms of going with a more recent option instead of Molitor or even Cecil Cooper, I'm surprised that you're so adamantly in favor of Braun and Fielder over Christian Yelich, who won an MVP.
He should have won the MVP in 19. I think maybe all right, put it this way, if
the voters
got it
should have 2 MVPs.
That's what I'm saying. He won in 18. He should have won in 19.
I agree.
If the voters got it right in 19 and he had 2, I probably would have bumped off Prince, not Braun.
I couldn't disagree with you more on the perception of Ryan Braun.
It's different in Milwaukee.
I have to know if people would prefer Ryan Braun over Paul Molitor.
I think it's
I'm
because
sure it depends on how old they are. I think if we have some older Brewer fan listeners, then they'd be like, "You're crazy for not having Paul Molitor."
Did you meet?
But if you're around my age, then it's like Ryan Braun was their whole Brewer fandom.
Did you meet him, Jared, that year that you came out? You didn't meet him there? Oh, okay.
When?
At the softball
19?
game. At the softball game. Remember the softball game at Pepperdine? Charity softball game? California Strong?
Team?
No.
He was on our team?
He's a part of the California Strong charity. And
but he wasn't. Well, I don't think he was there.
Christian Yelich was our shitty manager that had me hitting 17th. And I had to battle back and win the fucking MVP. 17th. Go fuck yourself, Yelly. That's why you're not on this fucking hall. That's why you're not on the Mount Rushmore. 17th. Your managerial career at the California Strong game could have done you a favor. Instead, you fucked yourself. So, go fuck yourself. Yeah, he was there. Ryan Braun, there. Outfielder, Milwaukee Brewers. You know him? He was there.
Listen, for my money, Yelich's 18-19 run is better than anything Ryan Braun did, and definitely better than anything Prince Fielder did.
Yeah, Jared, I am frankly shocked that you had zero. I did not have Ryan Braun on your radar. I had you Prince Fielder, Christian Yelich locked in. I thought you were going to be smart enough to throw Paul Molitor in there. That was a lie. And
I just said Christian Yelich makes my list if the voters get it right. I've been saying since the voting came out that he deserved to win the MVP in 2019. He did. Like, he won the fucking award. If he didn't get hurt in September, like if he got hurt in April and just pushed everything ahead and his August was his September and so forth, he wins that MVP. Like, he was the best player in the National League that year. If he has 2 MVPs back-to-back with the Brewers, he's on the list.
I just, just to keep hammering this, Ryan Braun synonymous with the era of Brewers baseball that you're talking about. Yelich undoubtedly synonymous with the present day era of Brewers baseball going back to 2018. That has been a better stretch of baseball than the Ryan Braun stretch of Brewers baseball. And there is no doubt about that. So I don't understand. Like, Yelich has been as good of a player and the Brewers have been better. And he's not a disgraceful asshole.
Wow.
However, we haven't gotten to my 4th pick if we're doing people with a little touch of disgrace on their name. Because my 4th pick hasn't even been mentioned in this conversation.
Wow.
Even in passing.
Wow.
And I'm ready to wear it for this choice. But it's the right thing to do. Because Hall of Famer Alan H. Bud Selig is making the Brewers Mount Rushmore. And you know why? And you know why? Because you know what Ryan Braun didn't do? You know what Prince Fielder didn't do? They didn't literally bring baseball back to Milwaukee. They didn't purchase the Seattle Pilots and bring the franchise back.
Bud Selig just looking the other way during the whole steroid era.
Yep.
I don't even want to be a part of the rest of this
during that time.
One second. You don't want Ryan Braun on my list because he took PEDs, but you want the fucking kingpin of PEDs in baseball on your list?
And you know what the distinction is?
Are you fucking kidding me, Jay? You just
know what the distinction is?
Everything you just said about Ryan Braun in my list. You probably were about to win the whole argument. The internet was going to side with you, and now you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna say the most hypocritical thing that I could say in this whole different argument.
Bud Selig was the commissioner of Major League Baseball during the disgraced era of steroids that you're talking about. What we're talking about is the Brewers Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And Bud Selig purchased the Seattle Pilots, relocated the franchise, literally picked them up on his own back and brought them from Seattle to Milwaukee, reestablished baseball in Milwaukee, his fucking hometown, and then ran the Brewers en route to 7 Organization of the Year awards during his stewardship, was forced to divest his interest in the Brewers, at which point he became Major League Baseball commissioner and disgraced himself. So I'm drawing a very clear line between those two eras because what he did for Brewers baseball is a completely different thing than what he did for Major League Baseball, which is absolutely littered with issues and hypocrisy and just downright straight up problems that don't exist during his Brewers leadership. And I rest my case.
Dallas, you as a huge fan of arbitrary dates.
That's not arbitrary. Those are two different. Those are two different jobs.
Draw the line in the sand, Dallas, and just say, "Oh, he wasn't a piece of shit before this day." So I guess. What are your thoughts on Bud Selig making the list, but Ryan Braun can't?
I am still trying to grab my breath from the shock and awe hearing, because it was, I don't know that a full minute went by without Jayhay slandering Ryan Braun and then Alan H. Selig rolled off the tongue.
Ryan Braun was donned in the Brewers uniform while he was cheating and calling people anti-Semites. I don't believe Bud Selig did anything like that as owner of the Brewers. All he did was save baseball in Milwaukee. Literally.
This is the most controversial Mount Rushmore in the history of the franchise.
Easily. And I will say it's because
I think you're right, actually.
There have been lines drawn that in areas we typically don't draw lines. We're okay with what guys have done elsewhere. We understand that might factor in. I just laid out a full argument why we love Bob Uecker as much as we do. And that kind of plays into what has just happened here is you love Bud Selig, Jayhay does anyway. No. You do for him.
Doesn't mean I can't. Doesn't mean I can't remember history.
No. You love you some Alan H because he took the fucking. He grabbed himself, that poor billionaire boy, by his bootstraps and said, "All right, pilots, you're coming with me. We're going back to Milwaukee and we're putting baseball back on the map." So the lonely billionaire was able to battle his way back to the top and bring baseball back, and then just. Never mind that there's an entire era of Hall of Fame players that may never get their acknowledgement because of Alan H. Selig.
Not because he was the Brewers owner.
We'll blow right past that.
You got to respect the office. Respect the office.
Man.
It's crazy.
I know you weren't expecting a history lesson, but it is good to remind folks that, baseball was saved in Milwaukee because of Bud Selig.
Wow.
And his name will be chiseled like stone.
Jayhay is the cheapest owner ever. More than one way.
Well, they didn't spend a ton under his watch. That's true. But I would argue that there's never been an owner of the Milwaukee Brewers who spent a lot, including the present one.
I mean, he broke the bank to keep Christian Yelich where he is. Did he not? That deal was for what, 200 something? I mean, he obviously, at the time, he was worth.
They're literally dismantling this team as we speak.
Because of that deal, yeah.
Because of payroll concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't keep Craig Counsell because of they didn't want to pay a manager $8 million a year. By the way, shout out to Craig Counsell, who probably deserves a mention on this Rushmore conversation as the greatest manager in history, in team history.
Yeah. How many World Series he got?
That'd be funny if the Mount Rushmore was Bob Uecker, Craig Counsell, Bud Selig, and Ryan Braun.
Craig Counsell, he turned his back on us in Milwaukee, and I mean, you want to talk about all-time traders. Craig Counsell going to the Cubs.
Doing wonders for the game. Doing wonders
I'm speaking
for the
for
game.
Milwaukee now. You're not speaking for Milwaukee anymore. I'm assuming leadership of this whole Milwaukee enterprise on baseball is dead.
No.
Bud Selig, Paul Molitor, Robin Yount. I know the real roots. This guy's talking Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder.
Yeah.
Ryan Braun.
Who's your fourth, Jayhay?
It was Bud Selig. It's Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Paul Molitor, Bob Uecker, Bud Selig.
Okay. Joseph, I feel like we missed like 2 rounds of you.
Well, you know me, I'm going with the big 2. Molitor, Yount. And I'm going with Bob Uecker.
And then
Prince Fielder.
Some love for Prince Fielder. That's another Prince. You're damn right. It's another Prince. Am I the only person that has fucking Ryan Braun? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you deserve to be on that island, buddy.
Well, I'm proud to be on here. Most home runs in franchise history. Highest win probability added in franchise history. That's true.
Totally.
Ryan
Prince
Braun,
Fielder had as many all-star appearances with other teams as he did with the Brewers.
That's okay.
That's fine, dude.
That only helps his case.
Interesting.
Dallas, how are you rounding it out?
I'm absolutely going just to put a picture on this Mount Rushmore, and because there's no better face to have chiseled out in stone than that sick fucking mustache. You bet your ass Raleigh Fingers is going on that Mount Rushmore. The first Cy Young and MVP. He spent 4 years there.
How many people even know that Raleigh Fingers played for the Brewers? How many people?
Well, they know now. They know now.
I didn't know.
It was either going to be him or Ben Sheets, former teammate of mine. Ben
Sheets.
Yes,
not even Ben Sheets. Just a curveball.
Jay, to your point about the curveball, and here's why I was going to tell this story about why Ben Sheets would be on my Mount Rushmore, because when Sheets was with us when we were together in Oakland, I remember locker was next to his, and they were asking him how spring training was going, and he had just had an outing where he did not get a single out. He did not record an out. and I remember a reporter asking him, do you have any concerns? Because he was like, yeah, curveball just wasn't really there, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, just listening to Sheeter talk to the media was just a treat, an absolute treat. And he just said, the reporter followed up with, well, do you have any concerns that the curveball won't be there? And he didn't even really look at the reporter. He just kind of chuckled and he said, oh no, curveball been there every year except one. It'll be there. And I was just like this, If I went out and didn't give up a single run, you would have to find me. I'm like running down McDowell by the zoo somewhere naked, rethinking my entire existence. Like I should not be on a base. And he's just like, no, all good. Curveball will be there. It ain't been there it's been there every year except one. It'll be there.
Ben Sheets, a underrated MVP baseball pitcher to play with too, because you could run that stupid curveball and that high fastball and just have a fucking field day with it.
Yeah. Did you see my tweet yesterday? I went through my childhood bedroom and I found Backyard Baseball and Backyard Baseball 2001. The disc's still inside. I don't know that, like, how do you? I feel like Joe, you would know. How do you play? How would you even, like, there's got to be like an USB-C to CD ROM.
I'm pretty sure if you want to play Backyard Baseball, you just go to backyardbaseball.com and you can play.
No, you just, if you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, you just download the game.
You can do that?
Maybe. I think they have them on the game.
What?
Like, not that original. Like, it's an adaptation, obviously. I could be way wrong, too.
I don't know. I see people playing it on TikTok, so I know, like, I've been in, like, live streams where people are playing Backyard Baseball.
I don't think they're putting a disc in.
I doubt it. There's no way. There's just got to be some sort of, like, what's that shit? And what's the Nintendo?
Emulator?
Yeah, what's, like, the Nintendo system now that has N64 games on it?
The Switch?
Yeah, the Switch has that.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. All right. Are we done? Everyone has their picks?
Yes.
Okay. Now, finally, I threw out the tweet last night. What's the most rewatchable MLB game that wasn't played by your favorite team? And within 5 minutes, all the ones that come to mind for me were in there. I'm curious to see if you guys have the same ones or if they are different. I mean, I think I immediately go to.
I was going to ask. Do you think that we could potentially guess each other's games, or is it just too random? Like too.
I don't think you're guessing Jayhay's. I don't know. I mean, you might be able to guess mine. If it's not my favorite team, you might be able to. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about that, and then I was like, I think that could be a difficult exercise. I think mine will. I think mine. When I say mine, you guys will be like, oh, well, okay, yeah.
Like you're gonna say Roy Halladay's perfect game?
No.
Oh, so it's fuck Roy Halladay then.
He's probably gonna say his own perfect game. That ego monster.
Yeah,
it's
not true.
It's not fuck Roy Halladay. Absolutely not. Put some respect on it. I mean, I'll go first if you want. I don't care.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to take you back to Game 7 of 1991 World Series, Minnesota Twins, Atlanta Braves. Yeah. I think, like, as far as overall excitement is concerned, it was a 1-0 ball game, right? So it's not like the ball was getting bludgeoned all over the place. There was some offense, but it was 1-0. And
that's rewatchable to you? Just fucking no action?
Well, because my brain is looking at it through a very different lens, right? What I'm watching happening on the mound between those two guys is all the action Little Dallas needed. Like I was fucking glued, locked in. And it was because I knew that these are the two dudes. These are their horses. This is who you want. So Game 7, everything is lining up. Like it's really who's going to get knocked off the mound first. And I've talked about this for 10 plus years, Jayhay and I. Us. The Game 7 of the World Series, that stage, and what is required of you in that moment to watch John Smoltz and Jack Morris go blow for blow through the first 7, almost 8 innings was incredible. And then Jack Morris just says, oh, buddy, we ain't done yet. You need 9? Book it. You need 10? You need 10 in Game 7? Book it. Shout out Danny Gladden. Had a hell of a day at the plate. 3 for 5, 2 doubles, scores the winning run. I don't know. For me, the moment and like what's rewatchable, like how many Game 7s like that have we had? That really just, I don't know. Like I said, for me, little dude, I can remember just being so like just in awe, thinking like what Jack Morris was doing in that moment. Like I was like, I'll never see this again. And well,
that's true. That was gonna be my next point. Is like you are never gonna see that again.
Ever. Fucking
You'll
ever.
never see a pitcher go 10 innings in a playoff game. You're just not.
No. In game 7
of the World
Series.
But I'm just saying in general, you won't
CG
see a playoff game
shut
where you get,
piece, 10 innings, the OG.
Yeah. You're just never going to see it.
Not even in the regular season.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's not as it depending on like pitch count. If he's like within 120 and he's chasing a perfect game or a no-hitter, like Pedro.
No, well, think about it. When was the next time we saw something like that? Was when Pedro went out for the 10th, right?
Yeah. And he was not credited with it. He had 9 perfect innings, came back
and
out
not
for the
credited.
10th, and
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Jayhay. I don't know, man. What would Jayhay's most rewatchable 2011 World Series Game 6?
That is my postseason answer. Yes, it is, sir. Obviously, I couldn't pick 2016.
Yeah, dude. Do I know my boy? Do I know my boy? That's right. Shit.
Yeah, it's fine. No game that I've talked about more on the podcast overall. That was a formative game for me. I was at the game, so that obviously makes it more special. But the back and forth over the back half of that game was just absolutely unbelievable. The call by Joe Buck to send it was, poignant and great, and obviously a throwback to Jack Buck's call. So that would be my pick. I do want to shout out though, because I tried to think of a regular season game too, because it's obviously easy to pick the postseason, and I think we're probably all going to be doing that, understandably. But I also picked July 23rd, 2009, which is Mark Buehrle's perfect game. And I'm not a White Sox fan. I don't care really about the White Sox, nor do I really care about Mark Buehrle. But that is very rewatchable to me for a couple of reasons.
Dwayne Wise.
Yeah. I really like watching Buehrle pitch, and I miss watching Buehrle pitch more than I thought I would because of how quick he was and efficient. And it was just like bang, 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 bang. Secondly, the Dwayne Wise catch, which for me is my favorite in-game catch when you factor in context in my viewing history. It's my favorite catch. It almost brings a tear to my eye that saved a perfect game, and that it was just like it required everything to make that catch. And then you have Hawk on the call at the end of the game. And I had a love-hate relationship with Hawk, who I got to listen to a lot in college when I went to Champaign at U of I, and I hadn't really experienced him before that. And that the yes at the end, it's everything you could want. And it's a quick watch. Like, I know this past year, we're back used to quick baseball games, but that stands out. I want to say it's just over 2 hours in runtime, that game. So it's a good aesthetic experience too. So yes, Jared, you are correct. Game 6 of 2011 is my choice, but did want to shout out Buehrle's perfect game as well.
Joseph. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can guess yours. You are going to say Game 7 of the 2016 World Series.
No.
Okay.
I was thinking, like, what happened? What game was that again? But now I remember. Cubs. I'm actually going to go with the infamous Game 5 ALDS 2015.
Batista bat flip game.
Batista bat flip game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had it all. You had lead changes, errors, chokes, a fucking brawl. You're throwing shit on the field. And then you had a bat flip that culturally influenced baseball for years to come. It normalized the bat flip. MLB took that bat flip, promoted it, made it viral as fuck. And that's a big reason why bat flips are accepted today. And that's one of the most watched games on YouTube to this day.
Yeah.
You look up just the full length game, they just post that game on YouTube. 3 hours long, has 3 million views.
Damn.
Highlights of it have 5 million views. They just posted the inning. The 7th inning is really what you want to watch. All that action happened in one inning. It was like a shot of heroin. That 7th inning. It doesn't get any better than that, folks.
I don't think you guys are gonna be able to guess mine because I said I had 2. One of them was the Batista bat flip game, so now I'm gonna go with the other one. I don't know if you're gonna be able to guess it.
That wonky ass Astros Dodgers game.
Yes. Game 5. Yes. Game 5 of the 2017 World Series.
Well, see, I was, because we were there.
We weren't there.
Wait, no, that was 18.
Yeah.
In Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I'm talking about the one in Houston. Yeah.
This was Astros Dodgers Game 5 of the 2017 World Series. It was like 13-12. There was like 9 lead changes, home runs everywhere. Kershaw's pitching. Like, I think
it was the fake baseball too, right? Wasn't it too? So like weren't we dealing with like really weird looking home runs too? Like at that point, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Low,
so for me, it's more just it's a simple brain answer because if you're gonna sit down for 3 hours to watch a baseball game, like I need action nonstop, and that game was action nonstop. Obviously, like the caveat was not your favorite team. If the game that I have rewatched the most is Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS, Red Sox Yankees. I've watched that game like fucking 20 times, like beginning to end. But to sit down and watch Game 5 of the 2017 World Series, it's like watching a movie. Like there's just there's a plot and there's just there's twists and turns and there's action nonstop. It's like a fucking it's like the Expendables. There's just explosions going off all over the place. It's very entertaining baseball game, and because of the crowd in Houston, I think made it. Another one that we haven't mentioned that I think is really rewatchable is Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game. It is statistically the best game ever pitched in terms of game score. I think he gave up 1 hit, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 20. That game you can definitely sit down and enjoy from beginning to end. Same thing with Randy Johnson's 20 strikeout game. That's pretty fucking cool. I enjoy a 20 strikeout game far more than a fucking like a shitty ass perfect game with like 4 strikeouts or something, like in front of like 10,000 fans. Like I'll watch like a 20 strikeout game and actually be able to like enjoy that because it's high quality. But and then you have to throw in Game 7 of 2016. Like those are the big ones.
I almost said Game 7 2019 just because they had Greinke versus Scherzer.
Yeah. I mean,
to me, that's the all-time personality game.
Personality game.
Just going after it. And Greinke goes, "Yep, gonna be a big game."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Game 7 of the World Series. Do you amped up? Should be a good one. Yeah. All right. I saw some people asking on Twitter after Nola signed. They were like, "Oh, is this emergency pod worthy?" No, it wasn't. It's just Nola going back to the Phillies. I mean, it obviously was our lead story, but it wasn't the assemble the Avengers type situation.
Let's be honest. There are only 2 of those in terms of free agents, right? Yamamoto signs with somebody or Ohtani signs.
Yep. That's it. And let me tell you, Jake, that is going to be a fucking moment. That is going to be a party. Dallas is going to be busy that day. I can already tell. Sorry, gonna make my bed and wash the fucking dog today. Sorry, gonna pick up my dog's shit in the backyard. Can't make it. This is gonna be the biggest party. Yamamoto, Ohtani, fucking $850 million. Same day. John Henry, big cigar in his mouth.
I will do that podcast from Saugus.
Will you?
If he lands in Saugus, or if he's
Which
a Boston Red Sox,
it has to be both.
I will. What? Who has to be both? Yeah, Ohtani and Yamamoto.
I said Ohtani and Yamamoto. It has to be both or just one.
Yeah, Ohtani and Yamamoto sign up. I will do that podcast from Saugus.
I mean, it has. I think just Ohtani. I think they're more likely to sign Yamamoto than they are Ohtani. But I think
I have 100% confidence you have no shot at Ohtani. Yeah. So I'll
That's not true. That's not true.
It's 100% true.
That's not true at all. Jake, is that true?
That's 1,000% true, actually.
I think DraftKings has us at plus 1,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent shot. That's not terrible odds.
I don't think that's
not terrible odds. They're not the best odds, but they're not terrible odds. Plus 1,000.
No,
you're in the hunt.
You could say you're interested.
Yeah, what are the A's? Fucking, you're not even a baseball.
Not interested.
We never even talked about that. We made it 2 hours in without Dallas talking about the fucking A's moving to Vegas. You got anything to say?
Well, there's nothing. We didn't. The topic didn't come up.
It just did.
It's here now. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Well, the only thing I have to say is the same thing I've always had to say. Until there's shovels in the ground, one way or another, what would I be able to tell you? What would the broadcaster for the team be able to tell you about what's going on with ownership meetings and city councils and local governments? And what do you think I know that folks who are in those meetings don't know? I know nothing. I am the broadcaster. So until that happens, I mean, it's pretty obvious that it hurts. It sucks to just have that feeling come up again. You know, that's what the fans are going through, is a pretty turbulent year last year. And, you know, it's not stopping. So, but again, I think at this point, until there's a definitive move made one way or the other, and when I say move, I don't mean actual move. A move made like, all right, now there's shovels in the ground and this is real, because that's when it's real. That's when it's real. There's a lot of other noise being made from a lot of other corners. So I think a lot of folks are really interested to see how it's going to continue to play out. And until there's that definitive answer, I know a lot of people are holding out hope, which I 100% understand. And I think sports fans in general understand that.
Dallas, the industry plant, Braden. Not going to give you any inside information. He's in these meetings, by the way. He's sitting in on it. Wearing his Vegas Knights hoodie. Saying how quickly can we get this thing done?
They don't even know it's me.
So the ballot came out today. We don't have to we can wait for next week. We can talk about the Hall of Fame ballot. We can have a deeper discussion. That's not like a footnote at the end of a podcast type deal. We can talk about some of those candidates next week. If any news happens, the emergency pods, as we told you, there's two names. There's two names that we're assembling for: Yamamoto, Ohtani, in no particular order. So we'll do that. And the 1946 MVP discussion featuring Justin Havens coming up next week. Joseph, any final thoughts today?
Nope. None for me.
Okay. Jayhay?
Shout out to my nephew who was born during the podcast. Did you guys know that?
Oh, shout out to your nephew for being born.
I wish I could take my pants off for you boys. That's fucking creepy, man.
Ooh. Not necessarily breaking news, but this has been a topic that we have talked about at length, and I know that pitching brain trusts have talked about at length, and Max Scherzer is talking about the quote from Ken Rosenthal says, Max Scherzer says top surgeons Keith Meister and Neil Elitrage have both said pitchers' arm injuries have been more severe since the pitch clock changes. So you can check out that interview, I guess, which I'll probably be doing because I'm interested to hear what Max Scherzer has to say about that. But it's going to be interesting.
Okay. Jayhay?
Shout out Ronaldo Lopez. Agreed to a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Atlanta Braves.
That's my fucking guy. That's my
former White Sox, Angel, and Guardian great.
Yeah.
It says, 3 years, $30 million deal. Not bad.
And you ain't seen nothing yet, baby. That's our fucking guy.
Jake's takes?
Sayonara.
Fucking fluent already. Don't put anything past Jake. We out.